Most sales teams train when there's a problem. We train every day. And that one decision has had a massive impact on our results. Listen, you have to understand that it is human nature for people to fall off the process where they develop bad habits, which results in lost deals. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why we train our sales team daily and exactly how we run it in our company and how it helps create consistency across our sales team. If you're new here, I'm Josh Hyde. I'm the co-founder of Heels Homes and Results Driven REI alongside my beautiful wife and business partner, Tiffany Hyde. After experiencing over 2,000 real estate transactions and coaching over 5,000 students nationwide, I can confidently tell you that we've made every mistake there is to make, and now we help investors just like you avoid them so you can live in what we call option freedom, where you have the ability to do what you want, when you want, and spend your time with the people you want to spend it with. Let's dive in. Let's take a step back for a moment. Let's imagine you're Michael Jordan, right? And if we look at Michael Jordan, do you think that he was a natural born basketball star? When he was 2, 3 years old, he was just born to be one of the greatest of all time. The answer is obviously not. He had to put in the reps. He had to do practice. In fact, Michael Jordan was cut from his freshman basketball team. If he didn't go to work and train daily, he would have never made the team as a sophomore or as a junior or as a senior, and he never would have played college ball, never would have played in the NBA, never would have been a champion. So when you look back, even when Michael reached the pinnacle, he became a champion, it would have been easy for him to say, oh, you know what? I don't feel like going to the gym today. I've already arrived. I'm a champion. We're good to go. No, he doubled down on the fundamentals, right? He doubled down on dribbling drills. He doubled down on shooting his free throws, his jump shot, his layups, everything. I see sales no different. It is human nature for people to fall off the process where they create bad habits and they don't handle this objection the right way, or they don't dive deep enough into motivation, or they come up with the wrong offer, and all of those things could result in lost opportunities. So what we do is we focus on training every single day in a very specific way. I'll tell you what we used to do and what didn't work, and then why I adapted to what we've been doing for the last 6 years. What we used to do is we would pull up, insert sales guru, right, on YouTube. We'd go to YouTube University, and we thought that was good enough for us to train our team on. So we'd have one person talking about one sales tactic, and then the next day it was a completely different person with a completely different philosophy talking about a completely different topic, and then the next day someone else, and the next day someone else, so on and so forth. And I started to see that none of the tactics that we were learning were actually being implemented, and this stung for a little bit for me because I knew we were spending a lot of time. Like, we were prioritizing the training, but we just weren't doing it the right way. And so I took a step back and I asked myself, luckily I was able to play for a championship team myself at the collegiate level. I played for the University of Toledo, which is here in Ohio. And I looked at what our coaching staff did with us as players. For my 5 years that I was at the University of Toledo on the football team, I was a part of a championship team and I was a part of other teams that fell short. In fact, one year we didn't even go to a bowl game. And when I look back at my experience and I asked, okay, what did this championship caliber coach do? Well, they emphasized when we were our best, when the best teams I've ever been a part of, they dive deep into the fundamentals. They don't look at the shiny objects, they focus on the boring things. In football, that's things like your footwork, it's your hands. I played linebacker, so the way I'm able to get off a block or the way I'm able to read a play made all the difference. And there was the one year that we didn't go to a bowl game. I remember specifically our coach asking why we let those fundamentals slip. And when we let those fundamentals slip, we didn't perform in the season. Because we didn't perform in the season, we didn't have the luxury of going to a bowl game. And so when I looked back at my experience and I thought, okay, what can I do? One thing they did to test this after we had that failing season is they would work us out to pure exhaustion. They'd put a ball on the field and they'd say, okay, go run plays. When you're purely exhausted like that, you can't think in the moment. Your brain is telling yourself that you're aching, that you need to catch a breath, that you need to take a break, but you're lined up for the next play. And what they were able to do by doing this is they were able to see who spent time on the fundamentals. Because when you spend time on the fundamentals, it becomes a reaction. You don't have to think. And so my goal was, how can I come up with the key fundamentals for our sales team for when they're on the phone with a seller at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night and we need to lock this one up to hit our goal. I don't want them thinking what they need to say. I want them to be able to react. It's no different than when you go to a doctor, right, and you're getting a physical or an exam, and they hit you on the knee with a tool, right? Every single time your knee kicks. That's a reaction. It happens. Just like if I were to drop this pin, it's always going to fall down. And so what I wanted to do is if our team got hit with an objection, like, let me think about it, I don't want them to have to think about what they need to say. They just know what to say, they say it, and they handle it the right way every single time. And so these are the 4 fundamentals that we came up with. So go ahead, grab your pen, make sure you write this down. The first one was, how can we set proper expectations to remove that guard, that barrier, that protection mechanism that our prospects have with us? If we could get really good at that, they'd feel really good about being open and honest and feeling comfortable with us, which helps us with rapport building. Second, being able to dive deep into motivation and thoroughly understand the situation and be able to solve it. So diving deep into motivation to understand and solve. Third, how do we work to objection block? We already know the most common objections that we have. Those are things like, I need to go talk to someone, right? The price is another one. Understanding the logistics or the idea of working with us, someone who's newer to them. Do they trust the idea of working with us, and credibility? And then there's timeline. So we know that those are the most common objections. So let's ask questions about those things so we can remove those objections for when we make our offer. They're not saying, oh, well, I'm not going to sign this yet. I need to go find my next house. And the reason why we work to objection block is because of this study that was done. This study was, they reviewed 35,000 sales conversations and a project to go find what they called the perfect sales process. They found that there's a clear difference between high ticket item sales and low ticket item sales. And so when you're talking about houses that are worth $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, that's a high ticket item type of sale versus, if you're selling energy drinks or Gatorade, like that's a low dollar thing. And they said that the low ticket item sales processes were able to do what they call one call closes because there wasn't as much on the line. For higher ticket items, it took a number of calls to build the trust, the credibility for them to feel comfortable with moving forward with those salespeople and those companies. Another thing that the research group found, clear difference between low ticket item sales and high ticket item sales, is the necessity of objection blocking versus objection handling. They said that the most successful high ticket item sales focused on objection blocking, so that way there wasn't anything in the way. Now, we still have to make sure we know how to handle objections and high ticket item sales, which is why that is our 4th fundamental. How do we handle objections? So to break this down again, setting proper expectations with our sellers, diving deep into motivation, objection blocking, and handling objections. If we could do those 4 things, then we would be really good at our craft. And so that's what we set off to do. Now, it wasn't just focusing on these 4 fundamentals, it was the way in which we focused on them. And this was the schedule, and this is our schedule up until now over the last 5 to 6 years. Every Tuesday, we show up and we focus on the psychology behind the thing. So if we're setting expectations, what's the psychology behind it? Then on Wednesdays, we actually talk about when in our conversations are we setting expectations and exactly how do we go about setting expectations. Then on Thursday and Friday, we put ourselves in a role play where we can actually practice. And the rule of thumb for our team is we want these conversations to be the toughest conversation we're going to have that day. I would rather my team fumble through and then get coached up on an opportunity that was practice versus having a real live deal in front of them that's a 50, 100K opportunity and they fumble it. We don't want that to happen. So we focus on making sure that we're able to perfect our craft during practice so that way when we have the real opportunity, we can capitalize on it. That's why sales training is one of the things that we focus on inside of our 2-day workshop. We break down the psychology behind objections, how to uncover what's really holding our sellers back, and how to build a sales process your entire team can follow. If you're serious about building a business that doesn't depend on you being involved in every single deal, hop on a call with our team, see if it's a good fit. The link is in the description below. We'll see you there.